Oh, hey there everyone. You just caught me in the middle of making my afternoon coffee. It's good to see you. Did you even recognize me? I've had a shave. I've shaved off most of my beard. Kristen, my wife, said that I look at least 1.5 years younger. So I'm looking about 35 instead of 37. Welcome to MRTB. The passage for today is in 1 Corinthians. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Now about spiritual gifts, brothers and sisters, I do not want you to be uninformed. You know that when you were pagans, somehow or other you were influenced and led astray by idols. Therefore, I want you to know that no one who is speaking by the Spirit of God says, Jesus be cursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except by the same Holy Spirit. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit that distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in everyone, it is the same God at work. Now, to each one, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. To one, there's given through the Spirit a message of wisdom, another a message of knowledge, by the same means, by the same Spirit. To another, faith of the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by the same Spirit. To another, miraculous powers, and so on and so forth. This, MRTB, is particularly for Year 12. But everyone can listen into this. It's as if I'm speaking directly to Year 12, but everyone has an opportunity to hear it because it's important for everyone to hear, but it's particularly important for the Year 12 students to hear. There are two things I want you to know from this tiny little passage. Two things that are fundamentally important. The first one is this. You are gifted. You have been given so many gifts. You might not feel like it. You might think, Mitch, what are my gifts? I can guarantee you, you have been gifted. You've been gifted with an amazing brain. You have been gifted with the ability to be able to understand complex maths. You've been gifted with creativity. You can create stories and things in your mind. You've been gifted with music. You've been gifted with art. I don't know what it is, but you have been gifted with something. If you just take it even a little bit further back, not just gifts that are inside you, think of the gifts that are around you. You've been gifted with a beautiful school, a bunch of teachers who genuinely care about you and who are so good at their jobs at teaching you and preparing you for the world that you're about to step into out of school. You've been gifted with a great school. You've been gifted with friends and a community around you who cares for you, who will prop you up and listen to you. You've been gifted with a home life. You have been gifted with finances. You've been gifted to live in Australia. There are so many different ways that you have been gifted. And we talked about this before. One of the things about being a Christian is recognizing all the gifts that you have been given and being thankful for them. But the second thing I want you to know from this passage is this. You have been gifted, whoever you are. You have been gifted. And I reckon if I just spent like 8 minutes with any of you, asked you a series of questions, I would be able to find out what your gift is. Actually, if you don't know what your gift is, talk to one of your best mates. They'll be able to tell you 100% what you were gifted in. But here's the second thing that I need you to know. Verse 7. Now, to each one, the manifestation of the Spirit, the gifts have been given for what? For the common good. Your gifts have not been given to you by God so that you can be super successful. They've not been given to you by God so that you can be super rich. They've not been given to you by God so that you can be really comfortable. They've not been given to you by God so that your life will be better than all the other people's lives. They have been given to you from God for the good, not just of you, but the good of all the people around you. So the question you need to be asking, as you're finishing school, Year 12 particularly, but everyone else as you're listening in, the question you need to be asking is, what am I gifted at and how can I use that? Not just for me, not just for my good, but for the good of all the people around me. For the good of the world, for the good of my friends, for the good of the poor, for the good of the community that I find myself in. So, you might be gifted in making arguments and thinking through complex problems, and maybe you're heading into to become a lawyer. So the question you ask yourself when you're a Christian is not, what area of law can I make the most money to set myself up in so I can have boats and beautiful houses? You ask yourself the question, what area of law do I need to go into for the common good to make life better? Not just for me, but for the people around me. You may be wanting to become a doctor. Potentially, maybe that's what you want to do. And the question you ask is not, what specialty is going to make me the most money? The question you ask is, how can I best use these skills so that I can bless all the people who are around me? Now, you might be becoming a carpenter, you might be becoming a garbo, you might be working in childcare or in teaching. I don't care what it is that you're thinking you're going to step out into. The important thing for the Christian is always, I've been given these gifts. How can I use them not just for my benefit, but for the benefit of those around me? For those of you who are not in year 12, maybe you're not thinking about what you're going to do next in life, but you can be thinking about the gifts that you've been given and how you can use those, not just for the good of you or for your friends, but for the common good, for the good of all people. Does that make sense? I'm going to get back to making my coffee. You guys interrupted such a beautiful moment just then.